Frontline Updates, where we delve deep into military strategies and updates from conflict zones. Today, we're discussing the progress of the ongoing special military operation as of December 26, 2025. I'm your host, Shariafa Muhammad MGT.
I'm Colonel A.C. Oguntoye, an infantry officer. The December 20th to the 26th operational pattern reflects a mature campaign centered on cumulative attrition, selective maneuver, and escalation dominance. Central Donetsk remains decisive, absorbing the heaviest Ukrainian losses and reserve commitments. Peripheral fronts fix forces and degrade logistics and ISR, while strategic strikes target Ukraine's capacity to regenerate combat power. Collectively, these actions suggest Ukrainian operational endurance is being steadily exhausted, with strategic outcomes increasingly shaped by manpower, sustainment, and industrial depletion rather than isolated tactical events.
Welcome to Frontline Updates, the podcast that brings you in-depth insights into military operations from those leading them on the ground. Today, we're joined by Colonel A.C. Oguntoye, an infantry officer monitoring critical missions on the progress of the special military operation as of today. Colonel Oguntoye, thank you for being with us.
Thank you, it's good to be here.
Colonel Oguntoye, this briefing spans an entire week and opens with major strategic strikes. How should listeners understand the scale and intent of those actions?
This was a deliberate escalation calibrated for strategic effect. One massive and 5 group strikes, including the use of Kinzhal hypersonic missiles, indicate an intent to impose systemic disruption rather than localized damage. The targets, defense industrial enterprises, energy facilities, transport nodes, airfields, ports, UAV assembly and storage sites, are all components of Ukraine's ability to regenerate combat power. From a doctrinal perspective, this is strategic fires supporting operational maneuver. When you degrade industrial output, energy supply, and logistics simultaneously, you shorten the enemy's sustainment horizon. It's also a signaling action. Attacks on civilian infrastructure inside Russia are answered with responses that impose disproportionate operational cost rather than tactical retaliation.
Let's break this down by sector, starting in the north. What stands out from the week's fighting in Sumy and Kharkov?
The North achieved both consolidation and expansion. Control of Vysokoye, Vilcha, and Prilipka represents tangible territorial gains, but the more important story is attrition at scale. Over 1,000 Ukrainian troops were lost here, along with armor, vehicles, artillery, electronic warfare systems, and more than 20 depots. Operationally, this sector continues to act as a shaping front. By fixing Ukrainian mechanized territorial defense, National Guard, and border units in place, Russian forces deny Kyiv the ability to shift manpower toward Donetsk. The destruction of depots compounds the effect. Units may still exist, but their ability to sustain combat degrades rapidly.
Losses in the west were also significant. Why does this front remain attritional rather than maneuver-focused?
Because terrain and force density favor erosion over breakthrough. In the west, Russian forces took more advantageous lines rather than forcing rapid advances. That positional improvement, combined with strikes on mechanized, assault, air assault, and National Guard brigades, steadily reduces Ukrainian combat mass. This is doctrinal patience. You don't need dramatic movement when the enemy's ability to hold ground is collapsing incrementally through manpower losses, destroyed vehicles, artillery attrition, and depot elimination.
The liberation of Sviato-Pokrovskoye appears to be a key development. Why is this important?
Sviato-Pokrovskoye anchors Ukrainian defensive depth around key urban centers in Donetsk. Its liberation compresses Ukrainian maneuver space and complicates logistics. What makes this especially significant is the scale of losses inflicted alongside the advance. Over 1,600 troops, dozens of armored vehicles, extensive artillery losses, and a very high number of electronic warfare stations and depots. From an operational standpoint, this is preparation and exploitation combined. You're not just taking ground, you're collapsing the systems that allow the enemy to contest that ground afterward.
The center once again reports the highest losses. Why does this axis remain decisive?
Central Donetsk is the operational center of gravity. Liberation of Svetloye and the continued destruction of the encircled group in Dnipro indicate that encirclement operations are entering a decisive phase. Clearing scattered formations around Rodinskoye and Grishino prevents reconstitution and breakout. The breadth of Ukrainian formations engaged here, mechanized, airborne, airmobile, marine, unmanned systems, National Guard and Azov units, shows that reserves are being consumed simply to delay collapse. Losses of Abrams and Leopard tanks reinforce that high-value assets are being committed and destroyed. That's not sustainable over time.
The East liberated multiple settlements. How does this support the broader campaign?
The eastern sector applies controlled forward pressure. Liberating Andreevka, Zarychnoye, and Kosovtsevo forces the Ukrainian command to defend depth rather than maneuver. This fixes mechanized and assault units that might otherwise reinforce Donetsk. The destruction of artillery, vehicles, and depots here ensures that even defensive actions are costly. This sector's purpose is denial, denying flexibility, denying reinforcement, and denying recovery time.
The Dnipro axis shows heavy destruction of depots and electronic warfare systems. Why is that critical now?
Because endurance determines outcomes at this stage of the campaign. Neutralizing electronic warfare systems, fuel, ammunition, and materiel depots undermines reconnaissance, coordination, and sustainment. Units may remain present, but operationally, they become inert. This is shaping the rear so that success elsewhere accelerates. It's quiet work, but decisive.
Air defense activity was exceptionally high this week. How does that fit into the overall picture?
Air defense preserves freedom of action, intercepting Storm Shadow missiles, HIMARS rockets, Neptune missiles, guided bombs, and an extraordinary volume of UAVs protects maneuver forces and logistics hubs. Without that protection, operational tempo would slow. At the same time, air defense success enables sustained deep strikes by ensuring retaliation doesn't disrupt command and sustainment. Offense and defense here are inseparable.
Colonel, thank you for providing such a detailed briefing on the current military situation. Your insights are invaluable to our understanding of the conflict's dynamics. And thank you to our listeners for tuning in. Join us next time as we continue to provide up-to-date coverage on global military affairs. Stay with us for more updates and expert analyses on global defense and security issues. Stay informed, stay secure.
Thank you for the opportunity. I want to emphasize that tactically, the week ending December 26th demonstrates combined arms operations at scale, encirclement, positional warfare, deep maneuver, rear area shaping, and strategic fires executed simultaneously. Strategically, Central Donetsk remains decisive, absorbing the heaviest Ukrainian losses and reserve commitments. Peripheral fronts fix forces and degrade logistics and ISR, while strategic strikes target Ukraine's ability to regenerate combat power. As the campaign moves forward, outcomes are increasingly shaped by cumulative exhaustion of manpower, sustainment, and industrial capacity rather than by isolated tactical events.
This has been Frontline Updates. Subscribe for daily military briefings and in-depth strategic analysis. Visit our platform for maps, transcripts, and exclusive Frontline updates from commanders in theater.